Hi, welcome back. My name is Swamp Rose, and today I'm continuing my podcast where I cover the Idaho 4 case or the case against Brian Koberger. And it's been a very eventful weekend. Also, I want to just acknowledge the chat because they've been waiting here patiently for me to get ready. Welcome, William. It's nice to see you. Yeah, I didn't really have an exact time. I just posted it that I was going live. So I appreciate you turning your alerts on. And just so anyone knows, I go live at really random times. I don't have a live streaming schedule. I just do it when I have a free chance in the day. So please hit that notification bell because I oftentimes make those live streams private. So if you want to see them. And often I don't have a replay crew. Hi, Mimi. Good to see you. Injustice and Trisha. I like your profile pic, Trisha. Jackie, good to see you. I hope you're doing well. Gosh, it is really beautiful out today in Cape Cod, but it is so cold. It's just getting colder as you expect it to get warmer as the day goes on, but it's getting colder. All right. So anyway, it's been a really eventful weekend if you've been following this case. And right from the start of the stream, we've had such impactful motions filed to suppress evidence. I would just like to know, all of you, do you think that the defense has done a really good job? Because honestly, I think that all of these motions are as hard-hitting as anything that we've talked about in this case. There has been things brought up that we have been talking about for months, and then there's things that we didn't even know were going on that we saw in these motions. So can everyone, by the way, I'm in a weird place because I can't use my office. I'm like in the loft of my annex. So I'd love to know, is the microphone okay? Can you see me okay? I know the lighting sucks, but if you're having trouble, thank you. Okay, I just want to make sure you could actually hear me because I could do something about it if you couldn't. So anyway, I just want to, in case somebody isn't following this case closely and you're just catching this update right now, there was ultimately a filing for a Franks hearing from Ann Taylor. Now, a Franks hearing is something that's held if you think that there's been misconduct or misrepresentation or even recklessness on the part of law enforcement when they are establishing probable cause to obtain your arrest warrant. For your search warrant. So essentially, a Franks hearing is to see if the evidence they collected is inadmissible to court, or even if the case should move forward. Now, Ann made 12 motions to suppress evidence, and I'm going to lose my train of thought. I lose my place in my notes, which I just did. I promise you, I've pulled out some really good nuggets from this too. So it's worth it to watch because I think I might bring up some points. I mean, I don't know what everyone's been talking about this weekend. I haven't really caught a lot of the live streams, but maybe I'll bring up some points you haven't heard yet. So included in the evidence collection and included in these motions to suppress were the Amazon account of Brian Koberger, his apartment, the evidence is, I can't talk straight, the evidence they obtained at his apartment, his Apple account information, the first AT&T search warrant, his cell phone data, his Google accounts, the pen trap trace evidence, a personal ID found at, hey, Jim, good to see you, a personal ID found in Pennsylvania. Then there was a person in Pennsylvania wanted to suppress the evidence from the Elantra. They also, in a broader sense, they're looking to suppress all of the evidence obtained in these search warrants. But what I found was really, really interesting, and I think this is kind of huge. If you've been following this case, my dogs are fighting over there, so if it's making too much noise, let me know. I thought this was huge, what I'm about to read you. So one of the motions to suppress was to suppress the statements made at the 119 Lamson Lane house. And that kind of made me pause because we remember when Brian Koberger was arrested, we heard the reporting of that statement. Have you arrested anyone else? And honestly, I thought it was absolutely BS. Like, I never believed that statement happened, but it's interesting that they're saying motion to suppress statements made at that house. But if you read on in the IGG search warrant, things become a little bit clearer. And I'm not sure why it's in this. Oh, no, this is the motion to suppress the arrest warrant. I'm going to read you a quote from this. Hold on. I was just seeing who's. Hi, Tanel. So I'm going to read you this quick paragraph, and I think you'll find this really interesting. This lighting is awful. On December 30th, 2022 at 1:14 a.m., Pennsylvania SWAT raided Mr. Kohlberger's parents' home. So during the raid, law enforcement broke the door down, held the entire family at gunpoint, and seized Mr. Kohlberger. Mr. Kohlberger made statements to his arresting officers. So obviously, whatever he said at the home, they want suppressed. He was reported to the police station in Stroudsburg, Pennsylvania, and made statements during transport. So there's additional statements. And then at the station, Mr. Kohlberger was processed with police collecting information about his person. So finally, during interrogations, before requesting an attorney, Mr. Kohlberger made statements in interrogation from the Idaho State Police and Moscow Police Department. So, I mean, we've wondered from the, hey, Nina, hey, Meg, good to see you. We wondered from the beginning, was there an interrogation? And we have our answer. Not only was there an interrogation, but there was conversation at the home and leading to the police station up until the point where he probably got the bar. It sounds like he talked, which I find that kind of, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that. I mean, I know he's a criminology major, so he's aware of his rights. I don't know in the moment if you quite know what your rights are. I do believe the Miranda rights are there for, a reason, but God, I would love to know what was said. And I wish this case wasn't sealed, because the more and the more that I cover this case and I realize how, let me turn off my camera for a second. I have to fix my hair. The more and more that I study this case, it's just so obvious how our First Amendment rights get corroded in situations like this. So for me, if they were to gag, seal, and redact a case, for me, it wouldn't be for the benefit of the prosecution. It should be for a public safety interest. So if this was, I'm sorry, let me take that back. For not just a public safety risk, but a national security risk, why would we not be allowed to know all the evidence in a case being brought against someone? If it sounds like the reason they're not showing it is because they feel that I've heard rumors that Brian Kohlberger is just smart and they don't want to give him a leg up. But there's no reason to do this. And I remember Andrea Burkhart talking about the trial that just happened with Richard Allen. And she directly went there. And she, as an attorney, as a defense attorney, felt this was her biggest grievance. This is my First Amendment right. She said, I have the right to talk about this, to cover this. We have freedom of the press in this country. And the whole point of it is to prevent the tyranny of the government. I'm just going to turn to the chat for a second because I have more points to make. But I just want to make sure you guys aren't disagreeing with me and have something to add to that. This computer is really weird too. I'm sorry about the camera. Guys, quiet down. I've got some rowdy puppies. Hold on. Hey, Nina. Okay, it doesn't look like you guys have any questions, so I'm going to go on. He probably made small talk. I don't know. That's a good point. I mean, I would imagine the officer tried, but again, I want to bring up, you bring up a good point. Let's talk about this for a second. So I'm going to turn off my camera while I fix my hair. Hold on. Let's talk about this for a second. This reads, I'm going to read the paragraph before this because I think it enlightens us as to exactly how the police obtained Brian Kohlberger. So listen to this. This is the paragraph before I just read you about the interrogation. It says at 12:43, and again, this boils back to our questions with the timestamps on these search warrants too. Is this just like a fluke, or were they not properly signed and executed the way we'd expect? But this anyway goes at 2:43 p.m. On December 29th, a criminal complaint probable cause order was filed in this matter. At 10 p.m., 7 p.m. Pennsylvania time, SWAT began preparations to arrest Mr. Kohlberger. Despite days of constant FBI surveillance, Pennsylvania law enforcement did their own surveillance starting at 11:15 p.m. or 8:15 Pennsylvania time. And despite the fact that these days of constant FBI surveillance showed Mr. Kohlberger unarmed and tended to go for runs at his parents' neighborhood, police decided to forcefully enter Mr. Kohlberger's parents' home, and that was the best option. So the point I'm bringing up is what the raid put 4 other people in danger, and it clearly states in this that he was going for runs at night. Is it everything in this case for show? Is everything just a game? Like, I don't know. That's the first reaction that I would have. And you think about those pictures of Mr. Kohlberger cleaning up the house. Now, like afterwards, all by himself out in the yard. How like sad that was. Like, no, he's not a national security risk. My point is this: is if you're sealing the case and it's gagged and redacted, you would think that'd be for a national security risk. Stop it, Philly. I gotta get my dog. She's making too much noise. Hold on. Give me that. Give me that. Give me that. She somehow found my barrette and she's like, that was the problem. What I was saying is the reason why I said that is I can only see in instances of a national security threat where you would actually make everything completely sealed. I mean, I've heard from other people like Cy that it's not that uncommon, but why do we do that? How is that in the best interest of the people? I mean, who does that serve if there's no threat to seal a case? Because doesn't that only serve the prosecution in most cases? I don't know. You guys drop in the chat. I understand there's a whole element of tainting the jury pool, but I don't know. I guess that's why the process is there. Dogfight. Oh, hey, Open Mind Perspective. Yes, they're having a good time. Usually they sleep when I do a live stream. I'm glad to see you. I hope you're doing okay. And I saw you released a new video last night. So I know who you killed is a crime writer, a true crime writer. So go check out our channel. Hi, John. Nice to see you. Hold on. Tanel says they didn't have reasonable cause to think BK would run away. They should have just asked him to come out to the station. Not only that, they could have got him while he was running. Like if they had to surprise get him. Yeah. We're talking about Brian Kohlberger's father cleaning up after the raid. I don't want, hey Tonka. I don't want to get too far off the point because I do have some really important things to bring up, particularly when it comes to IgG. Or we could just go off on this subject if you want to, guys, and I can start another live stream about the IgG, but I really have some important things to bring up. I'm so sorry. This lighting and camera is so messed up. Sarah's the state, that's who, yeah. That's what I'm saying about when they were talking about it being gagged, sealed, and redacted. How does that serve the defendant. I can understand in the instances of not tainting a jury pool, if the evidence is so bad, I guess that's why they have it in place. But why is it being used as a tool for the prosecution to talk to how they obtain their evidence? Now, the only reason I brought national security risk up is because that's the only instance where I could see that being a reasonable response. And imagine being swatted and no charges given until extradition. Oh yeah, Nina got an interview with a company that cleans up crime scenes. That's what she's talking about. It's going to be really interesting to see your live stream. Hi, P Fox. Okay, Meg's got a random question. The motions didn't mention DNA in car, did they? The channel we will not mention said DNA found in car for upcoming live. I don't know which channel that is. I should check my live stream. Maybe I can enlighten. I think I know which channel is going to be saying that, though. Let me just double check I have the right. I'm not subscribed to them. Hold on. Hold on. Oh, there's Forensic Frenzies live right now. All right, well, I'm not going to waste your guys' time. That's very interesting. And I did not hear anything of that because I have seen the receipts from the car and they didn't appear to be things from outside of Brian's hemisphere. Like they were the different cups, the different receipts. I mean, I've really gone over that extensively. If they did collect DNA evidence, it didn't appear to be in something that would have been on the list. What we don't know maybe is if they vacuumed the car, but I didn't see that. I don't remember seeing that in the list. It's a great question, Meg. I'll get an answer to that. And I'm dying to know. Okay, I got to figure out who's saying it because I got to read the title to you guys. I think I know who it is. Hold on. And I'll say their name. Okay. Hold on. Oh, victim's DNA found in car? I don't know, you guys. I didn't read that. I don't know what to think. So it's a DTS has a show coming up tonight saying they found DNA in the car. So I wonder if that's somebody giving inside tip to Daniel or if that's something that we missed when we were going over the paperwork. IGG, yeah, you know. Yeah, I want to get to the IGG too because I want to, now that we actually have a motion to suppress it, I want to bring up the points that I've always been bringing up for since I've had this podcast. Thank you for subbing to her channel. It's awesome. Wait, hold on. Doesn't have the letter F, doesn't it? I don't know. Yeah. Thank you. Please hit that like button. It really does help me as a creator. It puts the live stream in front of another person. And you know what else helps me? Reactions and comments. So if you guys could help me out right now and just put a few comments in there, if we could this is what Mr. Let Go tells his audience to do. Would you please spam the comment section with popcorn and just put the popcorn emoji? It works. It does help me as a creator when you hit that like button. It basically puts the live stream in front of another person. Oh, hey, Paul, I haven't seen you in long. Interesting that how can they get DNA evidence from a car that was never there? That's another thing. And then the basic information that they were talking about with Cyray, they're looking to suppress all of that at this point. And when I hear that, I mean, the first thing that comes to my mind is the probable cause affidavit that just appears. Well, it doesn't appear. Cyray told us on the stand that it was piecemealed and that it was done incorrectly. And we found out that it was actually done on without an update to the computer. It needed an update. There was a lot of issues, including the grand jury initially seeing that and asking for more. And so, and now that's all been filed to be suppressed. So, I don't know. Wait, what did Tonka? Let's see. I don't know what Tonka said. Okay. Hold on. Nina says they took brake pedals, gas pedals, visor, door pedals, seatbelt, fasteners, and results are sealed for those. That's a good point. So the safety belt has always been one of those things for me where I wondered, how on earth did this person clean all the DNA from their car? Because if you think about safety belt, it goes over you, right? Let me take this comment down. And then you pull it up. And when you go like that, it goes back into the actual car. And then all of everything that was on that belt gets all over the encasing where the safety belt went back into the car. It's like a nearly impossible thing to clean. And so I always wondered how they didn't get DNA evidence after all that time. Of course, we know how touch DNA deteriorates, so that could explain it, but it's always been a big question to me. And for some reason, I thought that we had some sort of confirmation they found no additional DNA. I don't know. I refuse to watch and find out. I never heard that either, Jim. Okay, yeah, Meg brings up there's no way it can be real. I don't know why I'm falling for it again. Like, honestly, I don't know. I'm not sitting here. This isn't to diss Drunk Turkey Show or anything like that. He might even have a source of the case he truly believes. But if people are giving out evidence that is sealed, gagged, and redacted, there are legal repercussions. Like, people do have to appear before a judge and could possibly go to jail and could possibly be fined. And it's a very probable thing. So the fact that somebody would leak information, so that's one thing. Or maybe Daniel has seen something in this paperwork we all missed. I don't know. What do you guys think? Drop it in the chat. Trish says that would be a connection, and there's no connection. That's a good point, you guys. So let's remember what Bill Thompson said on the stand when he was talking to Edelman. Or I'm sorry, it's not just Bill Thompson. Just remember what we heard in open court on multiple occasions. There is no connection to BK. And I'll even take it a step further. This spring, when a very famous author, Howard Bloom, came out with his new book, When the Night Comes Calling, he made a reference that he knew the attack was targeted and he knew how it happened. And the murder victim's father, Steve Gonsalves, actually wrote a letter to Mr. Bloom, an open letter that we all saw, that basically said, Mr. Bloom, if you have a connection, you need to report that to Bill Thompson ASAP, as they have not established a connection. So yeah, again, I don't know. And I'm not, we'll have to find out, but that's the way that I see it. It's the way that Meg sees it too. Hold on. Oh, hey, 12. Nice to see you. Tanel says, DNA is the only thing holding this case together, but it's also so questionable. It's not funny. I'll wait for any turkey roast other channels. Yeah, we know they're coming. Oh, you guys did the popcorn spam. Thank you. He also does commercials. He's really good. He does like little surveys and has you. So like, for instance, I should ask you guys a survey right now. do you think that Ann Taylor's doing a good job with these recent filings? Put a 1 in the chat if yes, put a 2 in the chat if you think she's falling short. I'm going to tell you right now, I'm putting a 1 in the chat. I thought that her, I thought that our filings were exactly what we've been looking for. I don't understand the timing of them, but I think maybe if it was waiting till this very last hearing about this, it very likely has something to do with the fact that she was giving the state every opportunity to correct this. I don't know. I'm just guessing. I wouldn't know. Phoenix Sun says, if there's no evidence returns from the warrants, then why suppress them from the jury? I don't know if there weren't any returns on the warrants. I don't understand the question, but that's just because I don't have great legal terminology. Sorry. Hold on. He had popcorn. Because because if all the evidence is gone, there's no case. And putting that aside, let's just not talk about, let's also talk about recklessness. So it doesn't have to be that the officers lied or they did anything wrong. We'll talk about recklessness. I've brought up so many times when we think of the Rust case, and that entire case getting thrown out because of the handling of what could be perceived as exculpatory evidence. And so it's not out of the realm of possibility. And lawyers and anyone who is interested in law all said that that was a victory for justice in that case, even though it seemed like someone who was very likely or possibly guilty of what they did walked away. It's better that than to have an innocent person in jail or tried. So it's not like it doesn't happen. It just happened in a major high-profile case. Hold on. I don't want to say that. I'm not going to take it that far. Hold on. Wait, Anne already said there was not. Hey, Gio. And Gio says, LOL, because they weren't in BK's car. Yeah, but here's the thing is like, he's now made a thumbnail and we all want to watch it. Can somebody teach me how to do that, please? Like, I don't know how to make thumbnails. And then now, I have to tell you some of my thumbnail drama. So now I started putting my picture on the thumbnail, right? So then I started trying to make thumbnails without my picture, and now nobody knows they're my thumbnails now. So it's like, I'm really failing in the thumbnail department. If anyone has advice for me, drop it in the chat. Or join my Discord and help me. By the way, I should drop, Christy, is there any way you could, if you don't mind, would you please drop a link to invite people into our Discord server? If you'd like to talk about the case or just join the 24-hour chat, go ahead and join our free Discord server. It's an awesome community. Okay. Then it's not. Wait, where did it say there was DNA in the car? Because as I remember, it was said in court, there's no connection to nothing in the car. Yeah, that was the argument I just kind of gave. That in open court, they not only said that, but the parents wrote an open letter to a famous author this spring stating, if you have some sort of connection, you need to immediately provide that to Mr. Thompson because he has failed to establish a connection yet. I seriously doubt he caught something a bunch of others did not. I read through those I mean, I didn't thoroughly read through all of them, but I read through those documents too. I did not see, especially the DNA information, although it be IgG. I don't know. But Nina brought up a good point about the everything taken. So I was wrong about the receipts. The only DNA I heard of was the 3 unidentified DNAs in the house. Good Lord. That reminds me of the Russ trial even more, though, you guys, because the Russ. Hold on. Let me put that back up. Listen. So Jim is saying I only heard of was the 3 unidentified DNAs in the house. Well, you guys, in that Russ trial, just to break it down for you, there was another box of ammunition that they didn't think was relevant. And somebody from the prosecution actually ended up resigning from the case right before the judge saw it. And the judge looked at it and said, this is important information that should have been turned over to the defense. They don't even have the profiles of the unknown DNA. They can't give them what they don't have, which is apparently a classic and canned response that does happen from the Moscow Police Department on multiple occasions. Hold on. Just the sheath links BK. So many questions about the methodology. Tanel, do you remember the last message I sent you? Hey, how is everything doing? Hi, Kiki. Such a cute name. Hi, Christy Nevada. What if? It's good to see you again. Glad you're here. Always love your comments. Mark and Betty, it's really good to see you. Okay. This was about Ann Taylor. You guys, I think she did a tremendous job with these filings, her and her team. And it really looks like the chat agrees. She is a force to be reckoned with. I can't believe this. Look at all these ones. Thank you. All right. And then what if gave a 1 too? There was a deadline. I don't know how we've been streaming for like 35 minutes. Hold on. Christy, nice. Could be incompetence, tunnel vision, following misdirection, lots of possibilities. The fact that BK has been able to maintain his composure throughout all of this madness tells me he has amazing self-control. And in my opinion, if he had done this, he wouldn't have had driven his car. The one of the girls that has been confirmed to being one of his students did a podcast. And I mean, like, she said, aside from kind of like echoing your sentiments in this comment, one of the things that she pointed out, she's like, this didn't make any sense to me, like, logically, because criminology 101, the first 2 things they study is the alibi and the cell phone evidence. And the fact that if he's the perpetrator, he had complete reckless disregard for these 2 things just doesn't make any logical sense to like this girl who was one of his students. If Brian is involved, his car and his phone were not, in my opinion. Alex Spiro would have a field day with this case, Ann Taylor. Well, we'll see. Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. All right. I do have some more interesting things to get to. It's just so nice to see your comments. Continued sheath. And there were, okay, well, let me go up to your other comment. So what if says, the fact that BK had been able to maintain his composure throughout all of this madness tells me he has amazing self-control. And in my opinion, if he had done this, he wouldn't have had driven his own car. And then he goes on to say, continued sheath, and there would not have been a surviving roommate. He strikes me as someone who has much attention to detail. I honestly completely agree. It just doesn't make sense. And then you feel this inference of corruption, like corruption of everything from the moment we heard about this crime. And I'm not saying the police department, everything feels compromised. I'll tell you what really stuck to me, you guys, as a podcaster. One of the most powerful things I saw recently, one of the things that really made me pause about my coverage was watching the political debates back and forth as Fry was running for sheriff. So Fry ran as an independent. He is a lifelong Republican. He ran against the Republican sheriff's candidate, and he ran against a libertarian. So he ran as an independent. And I'm going to be honest, all of the arguments his opponents really put on him had to do with the Idaho4 case, and it really had to do with specifics. And they talked immensely about the lack of transparency. Now, I've had other people correct me. I don't want to get into exacts, but there wasn't a press conference for 3 days. And the verbiage about the house being targeted, but the community being safe, and then the reality after they arrested one person doesn't add up. And it feels like if there is Fry says there's an explanation for it, but nobody will find out until court. Now, if that's the case, like his handling of that was so bad. And if we don't find out until court, then we could never find out. The other, trying to think what else they brought up some really, really good points. There was the lack of transparency in that. And I don't know, it'll come to me in a second. Let me just go back to the chat. And then we're going to get to the IGG because it's so important. Hold on. Mrs. Potts is here. I knew we had a problem in this case when I saw 2 different versions of the appearance of the sheath between Blaker and Payne, who walked the scene. And I've always found a way to explain that away. Oh, they were going out at a different angle, blah, 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 blah. But I mean, you guys, why are there so many issues with the PCA? I mean, why? Like, we have multiple phone numbers. We have the video of suspect video. We have the talking about the knife sheath in 2 different angles. Like, it's just, I'm trying to think of other ones right now off the top of my head. Of course, I didn't have like PCA front and center in my mind, but and then the fact that the entire tracking information has issue with it. Hold on. Idaho State Cops says William Tardy and 14 Tamara all have subs and no videos. What's up with that? They have, I think they have, well, they're mods, I think. So lots of people subbed them. And I think they had videos, maybe. I don't know why I'm speculating. You guys can drop it in the chat. Hold on. And Carla King says the FBI helping or hindering at this point. Carla, I think you have a show-stopping question right there. Is the FBI helping or hindering at this point? A couple things here I just want to say about the FBI. The FBI didn't place any charges on BK. And so I think I find that weird. There's no federal indictments on this, but what I find even more weird is that in Superior Court, they had, or when they had the grand jury, they relied on Nick Balance's work in order to show the cast report. But then when we get into the hearings, we hear Payne saying that it was his work, but then he said he relied on Nick Balance's work. Well, if it's the FBI's work, I don't understand why the FBI isn't involved. And I understand it has something to do with federal cases. I don't know, but I do know from reviewing the footage from May 30th that there were subpoenas to the FBI. And what could those subpoenas be? Like, it's not for the IGG. It's not for the cast. What could those subpoenas be? Well, I don't know, you guys, but I do know that there are rumors, and some of the rumors stem around possible. Well, I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't get into the rumors right now. Let me know if you want me to get in the rumors. Mrs. Potts says, how are there 2 lead detectives walk to the scene together, and one of them later learns that the ISP write about the sheath, while one later notices it on the bed next to Mogan? And like I've said, the only way I've explained that away is thinking that on his way out, he saw the sheath and he couldn't see it from another angle. But I don't know. It's making me rethink everything. You guys, I have to put my jacket on. It is so cold in here. Hopefully I'll have my office back tomorrow and it'll be more professional. There's a couple more really good comments here. I want to get to Geo's really quick. Well, here, hold on. In my humble opinion, Exhibit A, not PCA. It's weird. Like, it is under Exhibit. It's not under PCA. And then Trisha says, we don't need the police. And if we did, we ain't calling any state that begins with the letter I. Because don't forget, there was another state involved, the letter I. Gio says, in the Rust case, Erlinda Ocampo resigned from Carrie Morrissey's prosecution team at lunch. It was lunch, okay. Following lunch, Morrissey placed herself on the stand, and that's when super lawyer Alex Spiro destroyed her. Thank you for clarifying that. It was incredible. And what I will say about the actual prosecutor, she did not think she was doing something wrong. Like, it did seem like recklessness, but I mean, it's crazy to me to think that that's going on in court every day without the press, without the high profile and everything. It's frightening. And you know what, Gio, you bring up a really good point. I think this is where I want to make another point to you guys. Let me just adjust this camera. I want to talk about the IGG for a second. I have been really disturbed by an article I read recently talking about the IGG. So we're having all these hearings, whether the IGG is legit, whether they're going to enter this information, supplemental information into court. Well, did you know in America, if you're using IGG information on a defendant, okay, and you're in court and you offer a plea deal, think about this for a second. The evidence has not been evaluated. There's been no hearing for it. So if IGG information is being used against you, it's used to create your plea deal. So think about that for a second. Brian Koberger is evaluating his IGG information. We're talking about the IGG information. But if he were just a no-name criminal off the street, charged with something, and he was given a plea deal, which in most cases, a lot of defendants immediately go for because they don't want to take the chance of spending a larger amount of time in prison. What if the IGG information is false and somebody accepts a plea deal and spends 20 years in jail? I mean, the system needs to be looked at. And I'm going to bring up my last point about the IG. Well, actually, I'm going to bring up my second to last point. I mean, we've got enough people in the chat right now that I'll probably just keep going with this and bring up my last point about IGG. But my biggest point, I'm not going to look for my notes. I'm just going to say it from my heart and speak to you guys. But my biggest point when it comes to the IGG information is that there isn't case law on it. So let's just do a hypothetical real quick. Let's say DNA evidence was submitted to a lab and either through recklessness or through misconduct, somehow the wrong person gets named or something went wrong or something gets confused. With no legislation, if somebody messes up, they're not breaking the law. Right now, they take the DOJ guidelines, the Department of Justice guidelines, and they use those in the court for people to follow. So if you mess up right now, I mean, and my feeling is like, what's going to happen? Are you just like going to lose your job? Whereas if somebody's life is on the line, if somebody can go to the jail for the rest of their lives, there should be checks and balances. There should be a great amount of discipline for somebody who messes up on this. Maybe even, God, should I even say it? Jail time. I mean, these are people's lives that are in their hands. And so I don't think guidelines and rules are enough. I think that we need to really bring this to Superior Court, particularly when we now have some sort of not only biological, but technological ways to possibly trick the system. And I'll get into that in a second. Hold on. The Discord invite is invalid. Hold on, I'll drop it in the chat. Oh, I think it's valid because I have a bunch of new people in it. Okay. You would think with all the sketchy cases in the last few years that Idaho LE would try to keep things legit, especially in the case this high profile. I couldn't agree with you more, Meanie. Paul says, I can remember way back at the start, the sheath was under Ethan's body in the hallway, and then he was in the bedroom blocking the door. So where they didn't find Ethan. Can I tell you where I think that source came from, Paul? And I don't know. You might have a better idea than me. I don't want to speak for you. But for me, I heard the same thing. But I didn't hear it from law enforcement. I heard it from Annie Elise. Because remember who the first leaker was? It was Annie Elise's friend's husband who works for the FBI, allegedly. Remember that was the first leak, and that she was the first one to leak us inside information. And that was one of them, is that the sheath was under Ethan. Now, the reason I put the reason I kind of listened to her is like, well, she knew about it in the first place and nobody else did. So that, although she got the location wrong, but that might be where we heard the sheath was found under Ethan. I don't know. Zach says, people who comment a lot in a community get subs from people who like what they have to say. Yeah, that's a good point. Oh, yours is valid. Trish, you can drop a link to your Discord in here too if you want. Nina says, FedEx, bank camera, Yik Yak, Amazon, AT&T for a few. I'll tell you that FedEx camera gets to me now too. After watching a video on Jewels of All Trade where she talked about how these search warrants, they obtain these search warrants for delivery trucks. And honestly, it's like our neighborhoods are being surveilled. Wait, yes, spill the beans, swamp. Okay, I'll give you guys some more. Oh, wait, I don't remember what I was talking about. I kind of just say things when I'm live streaming. Miss Potts says, wait, you got into Discord. Good, Jackie. Nick, I'm glad to have you there. I'm glad to have everyone there. It's just so nice to have a community. Nick gave the defense his text messages between him and Payne tried to say under oath that at first he didn't recognize those messages, and miraculously by page 3 his memory was refreshed. You guys, I literally have that scene at my fingertips because I used it in a video recently. It is breathtaking. Let me see if I can pull that up actually. So essentially, just to go back, basically on the stand, Ann Taylor turned to Payne and said to Payne, how did you communicate with Nick Balance? She said, what did you rely on for the work? And she said, I relied on the work of Nick Balance. And she said, well, how did you communicate with him? And he goes, well, I just talked to him in person. He was just more than a few feet away from me in the office. I talked to him every day. And she said, well, did you email him? He goes, no. He goes, did you text him? And she goes, I don't recall texting him about this. And she says, well, and she said it just like this, well, I don't want to have to submit these to court, but here is, and she handed the messages over to him and he looked at them. Hold on, I'm just going to check something really quick. I see we're losing a lot of subscribers. I feel like other people are going live right now and maybe I should get off. Because I am not a flashy and sassy live streamer, so I don't know if I can compete with the other people who might be live streaming. So let me know if somebody else goes live. I'm a humble person. I just want to stay in my lane. Nick gave the defense his text messages. And you guys, just so you know, I've like unsubscribed and unnotified to everyone. It's just been a lot of drama. Good Lord, the drama llamas of YouTube. I just am done. So if, I just need to know if somebody goes live, you guys. In my opinion, they didn't expect this case to blow up like this. And I think they expected a plea deal before now. Wait. Jim says, I have to bounce off of here for a minute, take a 5-minute phone call where they put me on hold for 2 hours. Good luck with that. Let us know when you're back. So Idaho isn't known for having great education standards. So it's terrible state run by backwood hillbillies, Mormons, and militia lovers. I lived there for a year and it was awful. Even like, even putting the labels aside, in every instance, the system's only as good as the people who are running it, you guys. So there is never a time where we don't use our checks and balances. There's never a time where we don't pull the curtain back and look at the evidence. Like, this is totally normal. And I know, just thought of that when you said that. Oh, Kane is here. Good to see you, Kane. Keen did Jeopardy the other night on his channel. I wasn't able to make it, but I'm going to make the next one. I liked the trivia night too. That was really fun. I was always, oh wait, Sarah Keach. Hey. Oh, we're talking about Thomas Keach. I was always wondering, since they said FBI was already in the area, maybe they got in the way of an easy cover-up. You guys, like that whole political video, the No Quarter November, that was an entirely political video. There's like almost no question about it when you see the timing of it right before the election, right before Fry lost. The references were there. And he referenced the FBI agents. And now that we know that it was directed towards Fry, like what else could it mean? I also want to say he happened to say they were feeding bait to people and not to take the bait. It's an interesting statement from a local politician. She was kooky AF. I don't know who we're talking about. Oh. Hold on. Stay dog. It was it my framed by your DNA article? It was, I think it was the one Tonka gave. I'm having trouble pulling Discord up. I actually pulled the article I wanted to read up. Shh, cállate. Be quiet. Stop it, dog. I have it pulled up right here. I'm just going to read you a clip from it because it's so fascinating, you guys. So the article was sent from Tonka. And Meg, I promise I'm doing a whole segment on DNA after this. I don't know if I will because it's like a really busy time in the live stream right after this. Maybe I'll do it tonight. But this one is about artificial intelligence in criminal law. And I'm just going to read you a small segment of it, the part that's relevant to us. But it basically says this. The use by the courts of risk assessment programs is one of the principal incursions in the artificial intelligence, AI, into criminal law, justice, and determinations. And this is the important part. There are other AI programs which are used in law enforcement work and in preparation and presentation of evidence for trial, including probabilistic genotypes, predictive policing and profiling, facial recognition, and other machine-based processes. These AI programs affect judicial outcomes and influence judges and jurors fairly or unfairly in the outcomes in cases. And this evidence is preferred, and proponents and opponents can be heard. However, criminal risk assessment programs are often directly applied in the making of judicial determinations without objection or opportunity to the meaningful objection. You guys, think about your AI for a second. I've got to get something for my dog. She's making so much noise. I don't know how my like hair stuff keeps falling on the floor, but that's what she was. You guys think about AI. Think about the AI you interact with. Do you use Snapchat? Do you have any kids that use Snapchat? Think about the AI bots in Snapchat and how they adapt to the kid and you train the AI. And also, do you guys know anything about information theory? So I have a metaphysical channel. I've had a metaphysical channel for many years, and we've studied something called information theory. Because for me, it's the science that, not to get off subject, but it's a science that proves intelligent life, that I believe it proves God. But information theory basically says if you see code, somebody wrote it. So you might see a pop-up on your screen somewhere and it looks like it just automatically happened and blah, blah. There's nothing automatic. Somebody wrote that code somewhere. That's how we know DNA comes from source, because it's code. Somebody had to write it. That's what information theory is based off of. So what I'm getting at is that somebody wrote that code. So whatever AI it is, whatever it is processing, it had bias to begin with. Whoever wrote it had some sort of biasy, and that in itself is unfair. Oh, it's asking me for a software update. I'm on my MacBook. That's why I look so different. It doesn't have a weird camera that like reshapes my face. Okay, I probably should read some comments at this point. Hold on. Miss Pot says, I think Brian and his defense team know the IgG tree won't match Brian's own DNA and uploaded allegedly. You know, and then I think about when just in CODIS, and I'm not saying this is an actual thing, but when we're talking about the DOJ guidelines, who's to say CODIS requires 13 fixed markers? So those are fixed. Those can't be changed. But the sample that you take, I mean, there are several hundred SDR profiles, and you only need like 13 to 20 that you hand in. So I'm just saying, like, if you have a profile to compare it to, what stops someone from choosing different sequences that might be similar to the fixed I don't know. I'm just saying. It's like, let's get this in law so that we know there's a system in place. What is that, a horseshoe? Thank you. Anything. Good luck. I think the state also knows his tree they made will not match his own DNA upload. He did. Hence why they didn't want the defense experts to have it for comparison purposes. And that's the other crazy thing is we heard them say that the GOJ guidelines were to destroy the evidence. They're not. The DOJ guidelines are to hand it over to the prosecution. Hold on. The Purge Kiki wants advice on making thumbnails. Yes, you're the thumbnail king. You made such a cool thumbnail the other night. Yes, I'll take any advice. I'm soliciting advice right now for thumbnails. The problem is, like I said, I can't get people to click on them now if I don't put my face on them, because I put my face on all my thumbnails. It's like, once people get used to something, I'm thinking about maybe using, like, I have that little Swamp Rose logo. I was thinking of like getting people used to that and putting it on my thumbnails. I don't know. Drop it in the chat if you think that's a good idea. Hold on. Buenas noches. Is it nighttime where you are? The IgG is strange to me. So if they have Brian's DNA, then they raid the parents' homes, trash further to get him, and grabs his father's DNA, and then slam dunk. So why did they run it to a third cousin and get a hit? Oh, well, I think they found him through the IgG, and then that was the actual DNA match. But I think the IgG came into place sooner than that. And I think that Anne's going back further. I mean, she's not arguing that DNA. She's arguing the entire reason they got to Brian, the probable cause getting to Brian. But I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, you guys. Let me know in the chat. Paul follows the case very closely, so I very well could be. Hi, Captain Kurt Reacts. Been pretty good. How about you? I heard it was under Ethan too. Did you guys hear it anywhere else than Annie Elise? Drop it in the chat. Did we hear it from like a random, like a 4chan or a Josco or a Facebook group? Drop it. I also have an amazing picture to show you guys. Oh my gosh. I don't know if I can bring it up right now. I'm going to text it to myself. Nina from Warning Label Nina sent me a picture I've never seen. And when she dropped it in Discord, I'm telling you, I had Deb Tabe. She goes, I've been searching for that picture. I saw it in the early days. It got scrubbed off the internet. It's just an interesting picture, you guys. Let me see if I can find it for you. And then I'll post it up here. But it's basically of right after the police came, and she has a picture of the surviving roommates with blankets around them out front of the crime scene. And it's just an interesting picture because when I look at it, to me, it looks like there's a group of people there, like maybe 6 or 7. You know, I just think I should post it for you guys as reaction. If I can find it really quickly. Okay, I've got it right here. Send it to myself. And while I'm doing that, I want to know, do you guys think that artificial intelligence is something that we should address when it comes to the handling of evidence? Because at this point, I don't know how you take it out. It's literally part of our programming, and it's something that we need to think about. But I don't know. I'd really love to, know, your insights on that. I know I'm behind in the chat. Well, I'm getting this picture because I do think that you guys will be very interested in it. If I could remember my phone number. Oh, you know when you don't type a phone number and you... There we go. Okay, let me pull this up for you. Hold on. Miss Potts says, they tracked Brian from Washington to Pennsylvania. At any point, they could have obtained Daddy's DNA from the trip. I am sure he and his dad stopped for the bathroom breaks, food, trash, threw away trash everywhere. It'd be a very tough thing to not be able to get his DNA if they were following him. You're 100% right. It goes back to, why did they kick in the door? Why didn't they take him and not put 4 other people's lives in danger and take him outside the house when he's jogging, when they know he's not armed? It's outrageous to me. And it looks like it's simply for show. The bigger, the badder you can make someone, the more that you're going to taint the jury pool surrounding them. It's a really good point, Mrs. Potts. Thank you for being here. CC Moore and Paragon Labs recently solved the cold case of my friend and former classmate, Nancy Anderson. The perp died last year in prison. It will be featured on People Magazine Investigates 12/3. Wow, that's an incredible story. I'm glad that her family got resolution to the case. And thank you for letting us know. We'll definitely have to check that out. Please remind me in case I forget. Miss Potts says, they watched him for weeks go on runs around his parents' neighborhood and drive all over Monroe County. Instead of making him into custody, then they decided 1 a.m. break-in was a better decision. It's outrageous. Did they think that they were going to have more collateral damage? Like, you bring up another point. He wasn't just running, Mrs. Potts. He was at the grocery store. And how do we know that? We have photographs of him. Like, we know he was grocery shopping. It's insane. It's insane. And like, I can see pulling him over in a car then, and they had successfully pulled him over twice. I mean, I think maybe what I'm missing is, when did they get the DNA results? But couldn't they have waited for him to come on, surveilled him overnight, waited for him to go on a run? I don't know. I don't know why time was of the essence in that way. Okay, be quiet. Hold on. Wait, I don't watch the whole bunch of other people. I don't watch anyone anymore. Tired of it. Like I can't even watch a simple video without drama. It's so sad. I can't watch another live stream without digs and drama. It's God, just focus on your content. You don't have to pick on other people. You guys, I got to take her out in a little bit. Hold on. I saw a good one down here. Oh, wait. Phil says, I've been wondering where all the beautiful peeps have flocked to. How did I not check the intellectually blessed? Thank you so much. It's a very sweet compliment. Ah, my girl is here. Hey, Angel D, you missed the members live earlier. You guys, just so you know, we have an awesome membership. It's very affordable. It's only 99 cents a month. And honestly, if you enjoy small talk, I do an extraordinary amount of members live streams. Like I probably stream twice as much to my members as I do to the public. And we talk about everything, and the chat is really nice. It's a lot more personal because you don't feel like your comments are necessarily out there in the general public. They're just a smaller group. So anyway, I'd love for you to join my membership. If you enjoy live streams, I do a lot of morning live streams, and you can take the topic wherever you want it to go because it's members. I did see some more comments down here I'm getting to. Bert, yeah, we're talking about No Quarter November. The burnt bridges, it symbolized supposedly the FBI and the police connection to the church. There was one of the officers that helped collect evidence there kind of sat at the right hand of the church for a long time and is no longer there. There's so many implications. There have even been people, and this is total speculation, you guys, total like conspiracy theory, whatever. But there have been people who inferred after the Mr. Rogers themed No Quarter November, a lot of people had speculated about possible somebody trying to make it look like the church could have been involved in this horrific crime. And I don't know if that's true or not, but when we look at the Papa Rogers symbol, how can we deny that it looks like it's trying to be part of Stickergate? I mean, the symbolism, everything about it. Like, how could we sit here and say that that wasn't the intention of Papa Rogers? Why else would they pick that picture? Of course, it could just be totally random. We don't know. But yeah, I don't know. I'll stop talking. I think Doug kicked the feds out of Moscow, I think. He doesn't seem very scared of them. Wait, that Google AI bot is a hot mess. It's so awful. Okay, so I had asked it about a question about Reddit, and it gave me an answer, but it didn't give me the whole answer. And I mean, I think I was talking to Heather or somebody, and I'm like telling them about what the AI told me. And then I asked the AI a second question, and I got the rest of the information. It's just, but then again, I think about Google. And there's no way to say Google hasn't been using a form of AI for years. I mean, shouldn't say we, but I enjoy using Google more than other search engines. I know I shouldn't. It tracks the most, but it's so easy. It has so much memory and it anticipates what you type. And oftentimes, well, that's artificial intelligence. SCOTUS. A constitutional protection and constitutional protections need to catch up with tech advancements, and our rights are toast. You guys remember like 2 or 3 years ago when AI just started taking over everything, and we had all of these tech giants meet with the White House to regulate AI, and then all of a sudden the conclusion was, well, we're all screwed and everybody needs to create AI at the same rate so we don't fall behind other countries. And that's kind of where they left it. And I don't know about the regulation of it, but I do know that the legislation part that Mimi's bringing up should be there. if you commit wrongdoing or you influence people or you mislead people, particularly for money, I mean, there should be some sort of law in place that you're responsible for your AI, even if you think it did it on its own, hypothetically. Because, I mean, that's what you have to prove, right? Hold on. Don't forget. Yeah, please don't have. Jurors should be required to come in believing the defendant is innocent until the state proves him guilty. We have a responsibility as citizens for innocent until proven guilty. I don't buy any of this crap when creators tell you, or I'm sorry, I shouldn't say creators, when people tell you that innocent and proven guilty is only for the jury. Hello, where do you think the jury comes from? It comes from a cross section of your community. So if people are throwing innocent and proven guilty to disregard because they don't think they're going to be on the jury, who's going to be on the jury? Like, people need to have this system where they believe in their person's innocence before guilt. They should at least believe in that. I think you're onto something. I'll stop talking like a robot. Hold on. Wait, our DNA is code 100. Hold on. So often I hear that AI isn't biased, but that's totally because it's programmed. Yeah. Where do you think it came from? And even if, like, say, even if we had an AI bot that created AI, somebody still created that initial bot. Somebody still put the information into that. And it doesn't even have to be a person. It could have been downloaded from a biased search engine, I don't know. Where's the AI retrieving that information? That's another big problem, you guys. So I use the AI bot that's Copilot. That's the one I use. And have you ever noticed that, like, you can put whatever you want into AI and it's going to give you the answer, but you don't always get where it came from. So to somebody who maybe isn't critically thinking, they might think that AI has the answer or it's got the ultimate answer. Whereas if you were doing a Google search, you would see all these searches, you'd see the source, the date, you'd discern which one to click on. But if you're just using your Copilot, it's going to pop up that information, no bibliography, no telling you where the statistics come from. Like, for me, like, that's even a problem in journalism to begin with, the stats and the facts that people use. Because honestly, what I've been taught my whole life by journalists is you ask where your statistics come from. And now we just have little machines telling us, what the facts are. And it's kind of like DNA, the way that people like perceive it too. They think it's science. It's the most advanced form of science. So they just put a lot of trust into it. And yeah, obviously there's big problems. Anyway, let's keep going with the comments here. If the IgG doesn't match Brian's own DNA, return matches from his own upload, we have a problem. The thing is, BK had a profile on GED Match or GED Match, and the FBI uploaded their profile. It should have been a 100% match. So I've never heard anyone actually bring up that point before, because I have heard rumors that Brian might have uploaded his own DNA profile. But when you say it like that, how could that even be? I mean, if that's the case, we do have a huge problem. Like William just said, it should have been 100% match. I don't know. Hey, Jeff. Good to see you. Hold on. It's a magnet, Swamp Rose. I think Kane is trying to use the law of attraction. And his thumbnails? Wait. I have 2 profiles, 23andMe, long story. It says I have a twin. That's exciting. I'm joking. That was a joke, you guys. I always knew it's you when I see the Swamp Rose logo, Swamp Rose. In my opinion, it should make an appearance in your thumbnails. I think maybe that's what I'll do is I'll just like take the Swamp Rose logo and start putting it in every thumbnail, and then people get used to seeing it. It didn't take long when I changed my thumbnails for my audience to get used to something else. I always know it. Oh, hello. Yep. Main news says DNA are suppressed. The entire case is suppressed because illegal genealogical information or information and made possible Miranda violations. Brady Giglio lurking in the highest court. You brought up all the main and basic reasons and precautions that we have when police arrest someone. It's like, how is such reckless disregard? You know, I'm just seeing if I had any points about the Franks hearing on this. I had a few more notes that I haven't brought up to you guys yet. So let's see here. In those documents, another thing I should bring up is they outright use the word lie when they come to the initial officers who gathered the evidence. I thought that was incredible to read. There wasn't like an inference of it. They didn't say misconduct. They actually used the word lie. Yeah, because I mean, just thinking about the definition of a Franks hearing, going back to your comment, it's basically when an affidavit misrepresents to the court probable cause to obtain the warrant. So it's everything that you just said in here. The DNA, asking to suppress the DNA. And ultimately, in a broader sense, all of these motions to suppress are to get all of these search warrants suppressed. Hold on. I saw, Meanie says, I saw it on a Reddit post, but don't know where it originated. New said it was the beginning, I believe. Annie Elise. Yeah, that's where most of us heard it. Annie Elise. And like, we can't get mad at Annie Elise the way we got mad at everyone else who was leaking information, because this was before the case was sealed. She knew there was more she knew too. I can't remember, but there was definitely more. I'll have to go back and watch that at some point. Bicca Barlow is arguing the results of a DNA match by the state. That is why she wanted a full tree created by the state and was asking which matches of Brian's were on the tree in that area. It makes me want to go back to Bicca Barlow's information. The last time I heard her, and I'll tell you where I went astray with researching Bicca Barlow. Actually, I'm thinking of the wrong person. I'm thinking Bicca Barlow is the defense expert. I was thinking of Vargas, because I was on another show and they showed a debate between Vargas and Lana and Daniel, and I thought that Daniel won the argument, but I'm gonna go back and look at it again because maybe I don't understand everything that happened. Do you guys remember that? I don't know if you guys watched me when I was on the Drunk Turkey show. It was the first time I was on there, and he brought up a DNA argument. I'm gonna have to go back and look at that. It makes everything is different now. Yeah. Oh, wow. Okay. I thought they may not have been there when 911 was called. Okay. You guys want to see the picture? I forgot I'd uploaded the picture, you guys. Okay. Let me get this up. Okay. How do I do this? It's not in my, like I said, I'm using my MacBook and I kind of suck at it. I really suck at it, actually. All right. How do I present a different browser? Hold on. Window. Here we go. Okay. Share. Can you guys see that? I wonder if I can zoom in at all. Let me take down your comment. Oh, sorry about that. I don't know how to do this. There we go. Okay. mean, I can post it on my community page. Again, this is Warning Label Nina who gave me the shot. And Deb Tabe was in the same text thread as us, and she kept saying, I've been looking for this picture. This picture was scrubbed off the internet, da, 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 da. Let me see if I can zoom in a little bit on it. Hold on. Go to Safari. I don't know how to zoom in on this. Hold on. There's not like a little thing. Oh, okay. There we go. So to me, you guys, that looks like at least 4 people with an officer standing over them. What do you think? Drop it in the chat. I'm going to go to the beginning of the chat. I will go back up to your comments, but I just want to see. Anybody have any thoughts? I mean, the caption to the picture said, this is Dylan and Bethany with blankets, getting hot drinks. But yeah, it looks like William says 3 to 4. Anyway, I just thought if you hadn't seen that before, you'd be interested in. Do you guys want me to put it back up? I don't know if everyone got a good look. It looks like we had some new people come in. Hold on, let me share my screen for a couple more seconds. I'll read through the comments. Wait, I see someone's legs, so definitely not trash bags. These are not trash bags, you guys. I don't know how clear it is on your screen, but these are definitely people. And it appears they're wrapped in white blankets, and then you can see with the black, that's the officer. 5 people, including the officer, or 5 people in the huddle, I'd like to know. And I mean, she brought me like 5 other pictures from the crime scene that day, but these were the only ones that were of the kids. Wait, looks like 4 people. Swamp, Google this. Kids in blankets outside. You got it? Okay. So I guess it's not that rare because Dean was able to find it. But let me see if I can find some more pictures. Hold on. Put my keyboard in a funky place. Hold on. Kids outside with blankets. 11:22. Okay, I'm looking. I can't find it, you guys. Okay, let me show you. Why don't I show you guys my search screen? Oh, wait. I wonder where DM and BF went that day. Home, police department, a hotel. I heard that they immediately went to interrogation. I'm referencing a interview with the Gonzalez's where they said she got cleared real fast. But they were there, and it supposedly went right to the police station. Hold on. Officers getting the girls' phones and taking their pics of their licenses. Sent some vids to Discord. I would totally pull them up right now, Nina, but I'm like seriously challenged right now in this loft with my MacBook. Hold on, true that, Jeff. Jeff says, I did a Google search for that photo and it's still up on the internet. Okay. Oh, and then Dean says press images. Let me go. Well, Jeff, I Googled what Dean told me to Google. The cop is clad in black for sure. This is fun. Hold on. And then we're back to the sheath wasn't found until Payne made the first sweep to plan it so he could find it on the second sweep. Wait, I'm just sharing my opinion. Sorry if it's different from yours. It's all very similar. Talking about Jesus Christ with atheists, freedom of speech is a great thing. Are we talking about Jesus now? Wait. I have several screenshots of that photo. 4 at least in an officer. Had to get around not being able to use IgG to identify the suspect. They didn't, though. And they didn't. Open Mind says, you have to remember that they called the friends to the house before the police. It's a powerful thing to say. And I think from the moment we all heard there were 2 survivors in that house, we wanted to know what happened. We thought we're going to know what happened. And then it progressively got stranger and stranger. And then we heard about the 8-hour delay. And I try to think back at the way I felt when I first was thinking about that. And I guess I just held steadfast to the belief that we were going to find out more when we got to court. And now we're like 2 years later and it still has the same problems, but now people are speaking out louder because the newness has worn off and people want to know the answers. And now we're seeing what appears to be misconduct in the handling of the case. So the wheels in everybody's head are spinning. Okay, well, if there's misconduct and we're not going to know for another year, is our community safe? I mean, is this person off the streets who committed this crime? People don't know. And I think it does boil down to our First Amendment rights. Like Andrea Burkhart is telling us in the Richard Allen case, we have to be able to see what police are using to prosecute someone. They don't know. And this isn't like an anti-law enforcement show by any stretch of the imagination. I support the people who run towards danger when everybody else is running away from it. Believe me. But to protect the good officers, we need the systems and checks and balances in place to protect from misconduct. And that is what we're talking about when it comes to IgG and zero judicial oversight. Because what are you going to do? You mess up and you put someone in jail for life. What happens to you if you made a mistake in that lab? You don't have law that puts you in jail. You have DOJ guidelines. So what happens if you put someone in jail for life because you messed up in a lab? What do you lose your job? You get a demotion? Like what happens? That's why we need laws in place. There has to be repercussions for these things. So there will be individuals sitting on the side of the road because they were there at the scene before the police. Okay, so yes, so I'm sorry. I didn't even bring up Open Mind Perspectives point properly. So I'm sorry about that, darling. Good point. So here I am preaching about the 8-hour delay, and that's not even what she's talking about. She's like, why? And I'm going to speak for you. I'm going to reword your statement in my own dramatic way. Why, if you think there's an emergency, would you not call the police? What about that scene thought that they needed aid for someone? Because if the original reports were right, you thought somebody was passed out. Trigger warning, where was the blood, you guys? I don't know why I gave a trigger warning for that, but you know what I'm saying? Like, Jeff, drop it in the chat. Why? My picture obtained by searching these words. First picture next morning, 112. I'm only going to Google it if you guys tell me there's more photos, because I would be interested in seeing more photos, but I suck at my MacBook, so I don't want to like cause dead air. Come on. All right. So Phil says, I only see 25 likes. You guys, please hit that like button. You don't know how much it helps me as a creator. Honestly, it just puts the live stream in front of another person, and it's the free way you can help me. But I can tell you, whether you like this video or not, I appreciate your viewership. I just appreciate that you're here sharing it with me. It's just that's my dog. It's just a bonus if you hit that like button, but even more so, if you are having a good time and if you think the chat is good, please subscribe and hit that notification bell, because I go live all the time, and most of the time those live streams get made private. So I'm very self-conscious. So I would just say, if you're having a good time, if you like my people, subscribe, hit that notification bell. All right. Stacy Chapin stated, Bethany shouted up to the second floor, "Shut the fuck up." Sorry, honey. Thinking it was Ethan fighting with frat guys. She also stated girls heard rummaging of furniture and Ethan and yelling. So Stacy Chapin actually said that? I don't know how I missed Stacy Chapin saying that. Now, I did hear other statements from the Chapins. We heard from the in-laws. They were definitely saying, please look. They didn't say, please look into the roommates. They said they wanted further. Somebody needs to explain themselves. Why did nobody call 911? And then on top of them saying that, we have Richard Batante's statement that Bethany has something exculpatory. Now, if we believe earlier rumors than that, Bethany had additional statements. So the additional statements were, she thought she heard what was a spillover from the frat fight earlier that night. We also heard the naked man, right? That there was a naked man running by the window. I mean, we don't know. I do know that if that statement was incorrect by Batante, it was made in a foreign newspaper that isn't bound by the gag, so it would be allowed to stay. However, if he literally made that statement to the Mirror, then wouldn't he be violating the gag order? And then second, if it's untrue, why is it that Batante still has that article up? Or I'm sorry, let me take that back. If it's a lie, why does Batante still have that article up? Because in the country where that article is printed, he has recourse if somebody prints a lie about him. So it just doesn't make a lot of sense why that article is even in the stratosphere, but it's still there. And it still says that Bethany saw a naked man. And it still says that she thought she heard fighting upstairs. I'll get to the comments. I'm so sorry for the comments I've missed too. They quickly suppressed the information so reporters would not be around the house during the cleanup. An investigation also had to sort through the individuals that were walked through. Wait, naked man in 28-degree weather. Oy vey. I know, but we also have a lack of DNA evidence, so it's kind of hard to forget. It's kind of hard to forget the statement was made. And there was the second naked person, right? There were two naked people that night, right? Because there was the naked man. I mean, there was the naked man, and then there was the naked woman, right? The runner. But then again, I don't know. I think that was a prank, although nobody's ever debunked it to me. You remember Caught by the Video photography group? I wanted to stop for a second and say, Phil, thank you so much for gifting 5 Swamp Rose memberships. I really appreciate the blessing. Thank you. And then Demon Dog says, there has been a lot of lies in this case. Do I know what happened? Nope. Suzanne says, look into Ted Bundy. So many similarities in this case and the Idaho4. I will tell you where Ted Bundy comes into play for me. And it's probably not the same as other people, but I will tell you where his story sticks out to me when it comes to the Idaho4. We have 2 roommates whose lives were spared. Okay, so why is it that random rooms were hit and doors were walked by? If there wasn't a direct target, how did this individual choose 2 people in an obscure bedroom to the right, walking by a door with a dog in it, not saying that that's my dog, not saying he didn't open it, walking by Dylan's room, going over to Xana and Ethan's room, and then skipping everything on the first floor. There's 3 floors to the house. I mean, the only thing I can think of is what Ted Bundy said. And this is the only connection I've found in this case to Ted Bundy. Because if you're referencing Wawaway Park, it is it's in my opinion, it's not a connection. Ted Bundy went to a different school than Brian Koberger. Wawaway Park is not the location where the alleged victim that hasn't, I don't believe, ever been connected to Bundy was found. It was just allegations. But in this case, the reason why I think there is a Ted Bundy connection is not a connection, but something that I can connect to it, is they did an interview with Ted Bundy years later. And they asked him, I mean, if this isn't a targeted attack, if this killer just went randomly room to room and skipped over a bunch of doors, if that's the case, then what Ted Bundy said might be real, which is he was asked why, when he went into a sorority house filled with every room, how did he pick his targets? Because he walked right by other rooms. He maimed and killed sorority girls. And when he finally, after he was convicted, after he was in jail, they asked him, how did you make those choices? Why did you let some women live and then let others go? And he said it was very simple. I entered the doors that were unlocked. So lock your doors, folks. I know that was a long story. I'm sorry. What? Wait, what? Oh, I know you have receipts. I know you don't say anything without receipts. Wait, Open Mind says the 911 call was really about someone passed out. It was just what the authorities told the reporters. Yeah, I couldn't surmise exactly what the deal was. Howard Bloom interviewed that office allegedly, and there were like two conflating answers. The first one was that the 911 operator did what she was supposed to do. But here's the thing that I don't get. And this is the other thing that they say later on, is had she not filed this as an unconscious person, they would have sent a forensics team over with it. And how things could have changed if ISP was, or whatever they are, if the forensic unit was there right from the get-go. Tom Van is here. Stacy never said that. I think we're talking about the fight. Stacy said 2 a.m. was a dark hour. And I know I have that news clip archived. Naked man. Oh, I think I've already read. Yeah, I probably should go farther down. Sorry, guys. Oh, wait a second. Oh, Meg, what a blessing. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. You guys, for all my new members, welcome. Thank you, Meg. And I'll see you tomorrow morning in the live stream. We usually do Get Ready with Me in the morning. So, and talk about true crime, you know, Bailey Syrian style. Thank you, Meg, again for the blessing. I think Ethan was on live at the, I think you were trying to say frat house, and then brought back to the house and the body was staged. I hear that every day. Every day I hear that from somebody. Again, everything we're saying is speculation and our opinion here. We're just going through the chat and brainstorming on different people's opinions. And Nothing Half Asked says, when a door is open all night, it would be cold. The smell of fluids, all types, was strong. Ellie kept doors open. If needed help, you don't try your second mom's upstairs before calling others. You guys, you bring up like a whole ton of points in there. You guys, I want to talk about the door being open at 8:30 a.m. That's not speculation. I mean, unless somebody's lying, we've saw an incredibly trusted journalist. I have it archived. I've showed it in the last week where she did her own reporting and she went around to the different houses and she found a neighbor who said that door was wide open at 8:30 in the morning. I don't know, but I just keep bringing it up over and over again. How does that not change the time of death in some way? Are they getting the time of death strictly from the forensic downloads of the phones? And then second, going back to what we're talking about with the 8-hour delay and calling 911, calling other people before you call 911. So let's just look at Let's look at nothing half-assed. Can't talk because I have a lisp. Last point. If you need help, you don't try your second moms upstairs before calling authorities. Hello? Think about that for a second, you guys. The explanation why they called people over before they called police was because they were scared or they needed help. And why didn't they go get their second moms? You've seen those pictures of Kaylee and Maddie performing their big sister duties. They were awesome sorority sisters. And they definitely, I mean, look at Kaylee was Dylan's big sister. And that is a question I would have. Why didn't you go get your big sister upstairs? Or your second mom? Because people have said that Kaylee was like a second mom. Why did you call a fraternity brother instead of calling them? Is it because they weren't answering their phones? I'll speculate here for a second. Maybe they weren't answering their phones. Who knows? But wouldn't you run up to them? Didn't Murphy bark? I don't know. So many questions. It's like blowing my mind. I think Ethan was on. Oh, I already read that one. Sorry. Let me go down. Okay. Remember the neighbor who told news reporters the front door was open. I remember it. I've got it archived. I have the newscast. I will play it for you guys if you want me to. I'm going to turn off my camera while I do my hair. I'm sorry to do that in front of you guys. There's a naked professor in the mix too. I forgot about that. The naked professor. Wasn't he WSU though? I don't think he was. I don't think he was U of I. Was he U of I, you guys? You tell me. Hold on. The team lead for the cleanup crew was 1122 King from Disaster Response. Commented that it was the largest biohazard job they ever had. Oh my gosh, doesn't this make this conversation so difficult when you read Nothing Half-Assed comment? When you read the other Open Mind Perspectives comment about unconscious person, like with a 911 call, how was there any, and I am not somebody who comes down on the roommates. I'm the last person to come down on Survivor. But I want to objectively say my thoughts. Like I don't want to hold back on certain things because it confuses me too. These are the questions we're going to hear on the stand, and we can speculate what they were. Why didn't you go up to Kaylee and Maddie's room, your big sister and your second mom, when you needed help and you called the boys over? How did you not see the blood if you thought it was an unconscious person? And why weren't you screaming, no pun intended, bloody murder on the 911 call so a forensics unit shows up at the time of the ambulance? Like, I don't know. Can you please stop playing with your hair? No. And if you say it again, I'll block you. Sorry, I don't need to be a bitch. How about this? I'll say it like this. I'm sorry to be a bitch. Sorry I snapped at you. I think what you should do is create your own live stream and show me how it's done. Geo says, the serial unaliver narrative. Oh, wait, let me just erase your comment really quickly. I'm just going to put you on timeout because if all that's that you can contribute, you're getting a timeout. We're all having conversation here. You don't need to attack me personally. Okay. Geo says, the serial unaliver narrative. Holy crap. The feds have arrived in the chat. Hello. Okay. All right. Christopher Dorner says, there is more evidence of Leo involvement than BK being the killer. The police ignore the runners by Banfield, the cops at the grub truck video, etc., etc. The police were all over the house. I want to talk about the Banfield runners for a second. And I know Jeff and I have had this debate many times. You guys, there's two sets of runners, if I'm not mistaken, right? Because there's one set of runners when the cop is staring, like when you think of all the boys, the Banfield boys, one body cam footage caught the runners going one angle, right? And then the other runners were going to the frat house. No, actually, that's not the whole point I'm going to make. The whole point I'm going to make is this. The Banfield runners, the people they were giving the tickets to, okay? On the body cam footage, we saw 5 people running by them going to the frats. This is my question for you. If you're stopping everybody randomly to give them $500 tickets for drinking, why do you not go give tickets to the 5 people running right by you? You literally just stopped people, and then you stopped an additional 3 people for running. Why aren't you asking the people behind you? And I'm not saying it's connected to the crime in any way. I'm just saying, what was the reasoning behind that? Was it because they were going to the frat house and you thought maybe these kids didn't go to school there? I don't know. Was there favoritism? But why do you $500 ticket these runners and not $500 ticket the runners right over your shoulder? I think that's a legitimate question for us all to ask. And then I've heard the rumors about Hoodie Guy at the grub truck as well. Ted Bundy targets neighbors, called police, heard everything. Also, roommates heard each other's house, not some silent vacuum. Yeah, that was weird. Everybody heard everything, but police didn't get called till the next morning in that incident too. But that brings up another thing, you guys. How did you not hear? How did they not hear the attacks? I don't know. I'm going to stop because I'm not going to make one of those shows where we come down on the roommates. They're going to have a hard enough time in the next year, but I have the same questions as all of you. You can probably fish them out of me if you try. Why did he pick a full house of people, a party house, and just go after 4 random people? I don't know. I guess that's why they said it was targeted. If we look at that evidence marker, I can't bring it up because I don't have it in this computer, but if we look at the evidence marker that was found on the high side of the house, what's interesting is it's like divided up almost into 4 sections, and there's different initials on it or numbers. I wonder if that had something to do with them saying it was targeted, or was it for this reason that Paul brings up? They picked 4 random people in a house with 6 people in it. Lock your doors, everyone. Always good advice. They're there for a reason. That's part of the function of your door. Don't, Thank you for lurking. We appreciate you, Ray. Mittens says, sometimes playing with your hair is soothing and helps me think. I'm just not great on camera. I'm not as seasoned, you guys. There are people who do these live streams who have performed in audiences of over 100,000 people. So I just am not as seasoned as a lot of the live streamers you see here on our true crime community, but I'm working on it and I'm catching up. Lily says, in horror movies, rules always have a witness. Maybe they didn't know where it was 2 chicks. I remember hearing speculations. How do they know they were really there? Hearsay. They could have not known they were there. It's just the only thing I can think of is maybe he went upstairs, or they, or whoever did this went upstairs, looked inside of the room where the dog was and saw there was nobody in there, and then continued on down the hall to Maddie's. And possibly, and I was just discussing this with Trisha from Echoes of Clarity, possibly Xana was met in the hallway, was an idea that she had had. And that's how they targeted the second room to Ethan and Xana. I mean, we don't know, just speculating here. But other than that, I just don't understand why you would randomly walk by Dylan's door and go to the next one, unless Dylan's door was locked. And we know Dylan locks her door because she said it in the PCA. I don't know. I hope we find out. The authorities lied to the reporters that 911 call was about any passed out individual. There was never a 911 call for passed out individual. I wonder what the 911 call was for. Thank you. I appreciate that. Dylan was awake through the whole thing and never heard a scream. That's laughable, but sad. Like, let's take this scream. If we take the scream out of the occasion, which I don't know if we can, but it's possible using this method of operation. Maybe they were silenced before they could scream, but the noise is even beyond that. I don't think we're getting everything in the PCA that they probably said to police, but she said she thought she heard was playing with the dog. So we know she heard the ruckus upstairs above her. And then the perpetrator meets Ethan and Xana on the floor below. Same type of battle, but now you've got a young man fighting another young man. And to think, and it had a thud so loud that either that or something else triggered the neighbor's Ring doorbell cam that can hear the thud 50 feet away outside, and whimpering and dog barking. It's hard for me to even say it because I am not the person to, come down on Dylan, but these are the facts. And if the dog was barking at 4:17 and it sounded like somebody was playing with the dog at 4:05, approximately 4:05, was the dog barking for 12 minutes? I don't know. And again, it could have sounded like a frat fight too, knowing that, but I don't know. I can't click on your comment. Hold on. Phil says, it's Massachusetts thing. The best things in life come in small packages. The best discourse is found amongst small groups of friends. It's very well said. If this case ends up in a total opposite of Howard Bloom's book, I think Brian should sue every single penny out of that man. He might even, I don't know. He might even have some grounds now. I don't know. But then again, Howard Bloom is a very experienced, famous author. I'm sure he knows exactly how to get around that. Wasn't Ted Bundy? Wasn't Ted Bundy get into an altercation, then lose his temper and beat some women with firewood, and then got tired? I don't know, but I do know this is that there was an escalation period with Bundy, and there's an escalation period with all extreme offenders. So it kind of bothers me, just made me think of that when you wrote that comment. Where was the escalation period? Was it those 12 pings leading up to it? But then we hear Bill Thompson saying there was no stalking, which means no surveilling. Like, where was the escalation? Like, there's a triad with extreme offenders of different things they have in their history, which I won't go into all of them right now. But one of them is definitely voyeurism. And I don't know if we've seen evidence of that. Well, we haven't. Okay, because one goes in the room that belongs to Kaylee. The other goes from the front door. It's very surreal to read you saying that. There is no interview where Stacey Chapin says Bethany yelled, "Shut the fuck up." I was going to say, I feel like I've seen everything that woman has done. And I've looked everywhere in all places of the internet for a year now. I feel like I would have seen that. Wait, what do we have here? Thank you. Oh, welcome new members. I'll make sure to do a wonderful live stream tomorrow morning to welcome you. We have an awesome crowd. Paul says, why did the unconscious person call have the fire department arrive only to find the cops there to say they won't be needed. So the cops were already on the scene in the house. Why is this? I mean, I don't think they come in tandem. And I mean, an officer could have been in patrol there, but I guess if it's an emergency situation, of course, the officer's going to run right in to see if he can revive someone. Yeah, but you know what, Paul? The point that you just made makes me think of this. How did you know all four were gone? How far behind was the police department? We know they didn't go in because, well, Viviana got me a report on it. But I also have something interesting to add to that. I have screenshots from a local journalist who made a soundbite, which has been, just Tell It to Elle has it on her channel. I have it on mine now too, but that's where I got it. Unfiltered Lucky, A.R. Hayes has both reached out to this reporter. And what she claims is her initial reportings were correct. And her initial reportings said 4 dead, 1 to the hospital. You can't make this stuff up. Puffy, stop. All right. We have a drinking game. Tilted Kitty's hair, and it touches her hair 10 times a minute. We do it a lot. All right. At least we're making fun with it, right? Gio, I'm not going to put you in timeout for the drinking game. Thank you. I kind of like it. There was something I used to do with my brother. It was like I can't remember what it was, but it was like in high school, we had the Kelly Ripa drinking game when we stayed home from school. And I think it was like every time she did something, it probably was flicking her hair. We took a drink. And you guys, we've got 150 people watching. It seems like your comments are really helping. If you're having a good time, if you could just spam the chat with popcorn really quickly, I'd be really appreciative of it. Every little reaction really helps my channel more than you know. But if you don't do anything, that's fine. I just want you to know stop it, Philly. I appreciate your viewership more than anything. All right. Has anyone wondered if the victims were attacked with different weapons by different people? Example, 3 attackers. So if one goes down, they all go down for the crime and no one talks. Yes. Yes, I have considered that before. And I've considered that there might be a second person involved. I just don't know. And these things are so unexplainable, but we have such mysterious things going on. I'm going to just say it with the other BK. I've never quite got that out of my head. And I wondered to myself, just from that incident alone, it brings up a lot of theories in my head. Is there another person? You know, there were all these rumors. I'm sorry, I keep getting distracted. Let me stop my dog. I've got to let my dogs out and feed them, though, you guys. Yeah, I probably should sign off for the day. I can't really get around it. I got to let my dog out. I just wanted to say a couple things to you guys really quickly. Thank you so much for showing up to my live stream. I really appreciate it. I learned a lot from you. What I'd really like to know in the comments section is what you found the most interesting about this paperwork. I think that there are so many things. This dog. I think there are so many things that I want to bring up to you, but if there's something specific you want me to talk about, let me know, because there's so many angles I can go. I will be doing another live stream tonight, and it's going to be completely devoted to talking about the DNA. And I want to talk about several different things, but mainly I want to get back to AI and how that plays a role in processing the evidence, and also processing the evidence, and also, well, just processing the evidence, because we're talking about the labs. We're also talking about the IgG. We're also talking about profiling, but it's going to also talk about the judicial system in IGG, and I'm going to go over the document. There's a lot. Anyway, I've got a great show planned, and I'm hoping to do that at 10 or 10:30 tonight, as long as Kane isn't live streaming, because if he is, I'll find another time. Oh, good. Tell Ella was the one who gave me that report on 4 dead, 1 to the hospital. She has it on her channel. I have it on mine too if she took it down. So anyway, wait. What, do you want me to put on a video and take the dogs out? Yeah, I probably should go. But I appreciate that. And I hope you guys have a great day. Peace.